episode to Children of Arkham. I like how it's kind of like a TV show where they have the previously on every week.
Revolution is knocking on Gotham's door. When this whole thing starts, make sure you're on the right side.
Hermits, what's going on?
Mr. Wayne, thank you for opening your house to us. Together, we will change Gotham.
For the other people in the chat, Hermits is actually one of my students who's playing through the game with us right now.
Not interested.
He already played through this, but I guess he wants to see it again.
Carmine Falcone? Is the Dent campaign soliciting votes from Gotham's biggest crime family?
So you could also ask him questions in the chat and not just me. And he'll have to answer you. I'll make it a part of his grade.
Don't you know not to corner a wild animal? It's dangerous. I bet.
The chemicals. Where are they?
We're all being played here, including you.
So Hermits, you'll notice that as we're playing through it here, I'm trying to make some choices that are different from what we did in class to see how the story changes. So you can actually contribute and talk about how it looks differently than what you saw.
The Waynes are the biggest gangsters in Gotham.
So yeah, Rudy, my students are trying to play it, or the student who's playing it and streaming it is trying to make it so Batman's not so violent, which means that I'm going to try and steer in the opposite direction as him, since we're trying to figure out how the game sort of changes depending on your dialogue choices. Since the whole point of playing through the game is so that students can see how different choices in dialogue affect the overall narrative. He's killing old pregnant people? What? You're killing me over here. Hello, Brenton.
You don't have to do this.
Only you now, Master Bruce.
Can't have a Batman story without showing his parents die, right?
I thought I might find you here. The news was upsetting for both of us. But you should see this.
Oh, Brenton, you have to tell me how that went.
I know you can't.
You can tell me here, you can message me on Twitter. There's even a place on my website, on Hey Listen Games, where you can, there's a forum where you can share how that lesson went, which I would love for you to do.
It's public and messy.
People are throwing stones at my family, Alfred. I need to understand why.
It's my family, too.
You're the first other teacher besides myself who I know who has used that game in particular, so I'm really curious as to how that went with your students.
I hoped it would never come.
Forget the papers. I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I love the Stanley Parable. It's one of the funniest games I've ever played.
They were billionaires, Bruce. You can't amass that kind of wealth without making certain moral compromises. It's just not possible. That kind of money taints you.
My money has never corrupted me.
And I'm proud of you. But you're hardly the norm. Hill greased the wheels of politics. Falcone was the muscle. Thomas legitimized the whole enterprise with his name. Your father, Hamilton Hill, and Falcone, they were partners.
I know this episode's going to deal a lot with morality and whatever, making choices that are moral. So some of the questions that I am having my students answer during this episode is about the choices made by Bruce throughout the chapter.
Your father was a good man in many ways, but this was his undoing. I want you to know, I had my suitcases ready. I couldn't stand to be around your father anymore. But then, they were killed, and you were all alone. And I just couldn't walk out the door. Everything I did, everything I've ever done, was out of love for you.
How do you guys feel about this portrayal of
hope you
Bruce's
can
parents,
forgive
that
me.
they were actually bad people? Because I know in the comics and other mediums that's usually not the case.
How could I hold this against you? You're all I've got, Alfred.
Thank you. I won't let you down again. This is the first time I've been back here since that night. When the
Why don't
police
you like
called
it?
me to collect you, I thought they'd finally arrested your father. I couldn't believe a low-life thug like Joe Chill would have the audacity to rob and kill Thomas Wayne. He was simply too well known. Too big. Yet, there it was.
He got careless. Criminals always do.
You always said it was a simple mugging. In 20 years, you've never wavered from that story.
Totally. It's definitely more true to life. I don't know how many billionaires are
vivid detail.
Pure souls that
Maybe
got their
that's
fortune without taking advantage of other people.
Sometimes we block out things we don't want to face.
I could see how a communist would love this portrayal.
Maybe there was some detail I overlooked.
I should ask my students that, since we went over economic systems this year and went over the differences between capitalism, communism, and socialism.
I want him standing here. Right now.
And what would the Batman do with his own parents' killer? The possibilities are frightening.
I'd only want to ask him one question. Why? My parents could have given him anything. Why would he just shoot them?
He was stabbed to death in prison. No one mourns for Joe Chill, Bruce.
What's going on, Sangre?
He just wanted to protect us.
He thought he was invincible. Sadly, he was mistaken.
Oh, it's just too bad he wasn't honest as well.
He had his
Oh yeah, about the
flaws,
economic
yes.
system. So recently,
But you more than anyone
before
should be
schools
able to
closed, one of
appreciate
the
that he was a
things I did a little bit
complicated
earlier in
man.
the year, going over different economic systems, I altered the rules of Monopoly to fit different economic systems, and communism was one of the ones we went over, where I would change the rules, and so for capitalism, different kids were placed in different
Saw it
social classes
countless
and
times
whatnot.
at that theater.
Went really
How
well.
long did it play there?
Only when you wanted to see it, Bruce.
Usually I
Your
just teach
mother
it
arranged the special screenings
with video games
personally.
when I can, but Monopoly is
I
a
never
board
knew
game that I like to incorporate into my class at
She was
times.
always so good to me.
For those of you who are new, this game, I wasn't planning on ever teaching with this one, but since we're teaching from home, we wanted to find something
Where
more fun,
exactly
and
does
I
the
know a lot of my
memory
students
end?
like superheroes, so
With my father pleading
I went with Batman since we could talk
You
about
don't have to
how
do this.
dialogue choices affect narrative,
and the gunfires.
And after
and it's
that,
more fun. It's okay to try and
there are
make school fun
considerable
these
gaps
days,
in
since
that
everyone's kind of just stuck at home.
Maybe. Do I really want to know?
Stay back!
Take whatever you want.
And Bruce, just business. He told me you had it coming.
You don't have to do this.
No judging here. I'm probably more of a socialist myself anyway.
Don't vote on me. He's making a mistake.
The pearls? Do we get the pearls? There are the bloody tickets that he keeps on his counter in the Batcave. biggest takeaway. It's the first game that I've done with dialogue choices in this capacity, so what's cool is that the student who's playing it online,
Bruce, are you all
right, he's trying to imprint himself, right? He's a gentleman, quote unquote, so he wants to be a nicer guy, he wants to be a nicer vigilante, but he will also pull the class. So sometimes when there's a big choice being made, he'll ask the people in the chat what decision he should make, which I think is cool. That way there's a group decision-making around morality, and not just one person dictating how to move through the game.
But getting you in to see Falcone like this, I don't have to tell you how many rules we're breaking. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm always here for you.
Yeah, I kind of wish that was an option as well. Especially for my students who are English language learners. It could be hard for the student playing to read everything.
You owe me, Harvey.
In enough time, and then if you don't, sometimes he just doesn't have the chance to choose something.
You're not entitled to a pound of flesh.
Hell, I'll settle for a handshake and a blind eye.
The last time we brushed shoulders with Falcone, the press made us pay.
I haven't played Detroit Become Human, but a lot of people have actually recommended that that's something I should check out. In terms of teaching, incorporating into some kind of civil rights unit.
I'm not sure, but I think Falcone put a hit on my parents.
Wait, what? Bruce, that's terrible.
That's why I have to speak with him. I have to know for sure.
Bruce, I appreciate you opening up to me, but just try and keep it cool in there. I don't want any headlines taking away from my debate with Hill.
Dent, Mr. Wayne, welcome to the GCPD.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Now, ordinarily, we'd never let you in to see Falcone.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed reactions to it. A lot of people really love it. A lot of people think it's a little bit too on the nose.
Rules whenever you need it.
But I think it could be a good game to compare to other like traditional texts or non-fiction texts that would be used in the classroom.
Well, it's lucky your interest.
And students would be able to critique whether or not it's a fair or accurate portrayal of slavery and other issues of human rights violations.
Get off again.
He's not getting off the hook, Renee. Not this time.
Mr. Wayne, Sergeant Renee Montoya. I just wanted to say, some of us police support you, despite what the media is saying.
Thanks, Sergeant.
We had to put Falcone in the infirmary. Batman practically tore him in half. He's helped us a lot in the past, but if you ask me,
that's how Telltale shades their games.
Batman is a monster. That freak does more harm for Gotham than good.
I'm starting to think you might be right. It isn't the first time either. Nearly ripped a guy's arm off at the docks.
Pretty much all Telltale games look exactly the same.
Someone's getting tough on these guys. I tell you, I'd rather have Falcone in here than out on the street.
You weren't there, Harvey. You didn't see it.
Keep the questions coming, guys. If you have questions about how or why I teach with this game or just video games in general, because I love sharing all my thoughts and strategies and ideas, since I know it's kind of a new way of teaching in schools. And a lot of people still think video games have no place in schools or in education in general. Children of Arkham.
The hell? Bruce Wayne? You must have some clout. My own wife can't get in to see me. Good thing I'll be out of here in a week.
You look like you tangled with the wrong guy.
Gamification has definitely been a huge part of education.
This bad since before
which is gamification is more like gamifying learning experience where you turn learning into a game where students can get points, they can get rewards for completing different tasks or quests and whatnot. And yeah, that's a huge industry right now. Bringing in video games is more like game-based learning, which is a little different. It's not necessarily gamifying the learning experience, it's just using games as text in the classroom, right? So
killings.
the questions and handouts that I'm still making traditional handouts for students to answer when playing a game like this.
I thought you'd have figured that
and
out
they're not
by
getting
now.
any types of points
Yeah,
in
to
class
get through to your dense
for
party.
completing this activity. They just get their normal grade.
Yeah, I should have spelled it out.
But
Watch
we're
it.
using a video game as a text in
still
lieu
see some
of just a book or a short
bones.
story or a poem.
Tough guy, eh? There's not much left if you came for a piece of me. Your father, Hill, and me, we ran this city.
Classcraft is
Still
gamification.
do.
It's like turning your classroom into a video game, and you can create different quests and different
Can't think through it.
like storylines that students move through,
Be a good
and
boy
they can get different
Help out your
like
combine,
avatars
huh?
that they can upgrade equipment on as you give them rewards or like loot for completing whatever you did in a class. So I've gone to professional development meetings around Classcraft. I've never actually used it myself because I haven't done much of gamification on my end.
Of course. You'd never know the truth.
So here I chose to hurt Falcone because my student chose not to.
What kind of son did he make?
I need you alive, but only until I have answers.
Apple didn't fall far, did it? You got that Wayne seed. He loved you, you know. He did it all for you. He protected his own. And if you got on his bad side, your father was more ruthless than any of us. He had a switch, you know. Still, made us all rich, including you. Some people just have the mind for it. He was one of the most brilliant men I ever knew.
I hardly remember anything about him.
I know Class. What's the other one? Class Dojo is another gamification tool that a lot of students in or a lot of teachers in elementary and middle school use.
Still had him killed.
What, you really think I ordered the hit? Sure, I worked with Joe Chill from time to time. Put a button on someone, he'd take him out. But I never ordered that hit on your parents.
So who did?
You can't trust anyone in Gotham. Least of all those you call friend. Your parents learned that.
They're waiting for you in hell!
Montoya, no!
The bastard had to die!
That returning to publication. I definitely want to read that when it comes out.
Get a doctor! Secure this floor! No one gets in or out! Go! Go!
Yeah, I don't necessarily like harming other people in this game. I'm just doing it just to see what's different from my students.
We are in deep shit. I bought us some time, but not much.
Brenton, I totally agree, because I specifically stay away from, like, educational games, because I don't want to trick my students in learning, so I like, all the games that I bring in is usually
I hardly recognized her when she burst in.
a standard entertainment commercial game that, like this, that can just be repurposed to support what you're already teaching in the classroom, right? We don't need to find ways to trick our students into learning. We just need to meet them where they are. And using a game like Batman can meet our students where they are.
1,000 unnamed victims. And now it is a PR disaster. How can I run against corruption when our own cops are redecorating the precinct with their prisoners' brains? Listen, we gotta get out in front of this. We gotta spin it as best we can. Issue a statement saying that we have the shooter in custody. That details are still coming in and that we're investigating. The usual.
Someone planned this for a reason.
Even if that's true, the simple fact is she gunned him down in his hospital bed.
Lieutenant, Mr. District Attorney.
Harvey will remember that.
Oh, Christ. I can
Which
delay
side
them
of
for
Harvey?
a little while, but we still
Tap
need
forehead.
answers.
Tell me if she says anything
I
No,
have to know why she
that
did
doesn't make
this.
foreign sense, Gordon. I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm not. You don't know I'm Batman. I'm just the guy here. You should not leave me
Alfred,
in an intimidation room with suspects.
Good God.
I'm looking into it, but I'll
You should not be in the room.
for anything I find.
Connection secured.
Alfred, I'm gonna try and confirm some suspicions of mine.
I do like this game, but there are moments like this where I can't suspend my belief too much.
Her veins, still visible beneath her skin. Fresh injection site. That doesn't look like blood. Alfred, I think I found the substance. Analyze and forward me the result.
Of course. I'll be in touch as soon as I have the results.
Thank you, Alfred.
Where am I?
And we'll have this completely unqualified citizen, do an interrogation.
What's going on? Oh, but I got this awful feeling something terrible happened.
It's not good, Sergeant. You shot Falcone.
I did what? No. God, it's true.
I believe you were drugged, Sergeant.
It would explain a lot. Listen.
Bruce looks a lot like Archer
to believe
right
me.
now.
I talk big about hurting thugs like Falcone, but I would never betray the lieutenant.
I trust you, Montoya. I like Gordon too.
I remember a sharp pain.
There's an injection site on your neck.
Then I just felt light, like I could do whatever I wanted. No
I
guilt,
agree, Mr. Bacon. America
no
loves. Well, I'd say half of America now loves billionaires. The other half is like vehemently against them.
Falcone was gonna get off, and all I knew was that I had to stop that.
We did an entire unit on like what,
what
it means to be a billionaire and how much money that actually is.
They were a million miles away.
Like you were hypnotized? Under some mind control?
Not mind control, more like my impulse control was gone. My anger was the only thing that mattered.
I like Elon Musk like half the time, and then the other half the time I think he's a complete moron. I don't really know what I truly think of that guy.
With a child. The voice, it was saying something about revolution.
Right now I don't like him because he's trying to force people to go back to work when we're not really sure that conditions are safe yet.
I'm so sorry, Lieutenant. I've let you down.
We stalled Falcone's lawyers for now, but they'll be back. So how is she? Did she tell you anything?
Yeah, don't worry about that now.
I found evidence that she was drugged. A fresh injection site on her neck.
I was out of my mind, Lieutenant. Please believe me.
He wouldn't put numbers in the kid's name. He would just make him another Robin.
Hey, get forensics in here. Now!
She remembers a voice saying something about revolution.
That's not much to go on.
How many Robins were up to? There's like 6 of them?
If you're bringing forensics in, let's get Bruce out.
Alfred, I gotta get back to the manor. I've got a lead on whoever's behind this.
Bruce!
I think only Damien is his son.
What are you doing here? My friends in the GCPD have been telling stories about some kind of lockdown?
I'm sorry, Vicky. I don't have time.
Don't brush me off. Word is there were shots fired near where Falcone was being held.
There's also 2 girl Robins, though, I think.
Where did you get that?
So
what's the one from the Frank Miller
say that.
series,
Listen,
in The Dark Knight Returns? What's her name? Cassie? Casey? Cassandra? I'm completely blanking out on her name.
You can't afford to be associated with it. Let me help you. I can keep your name out of whatever we print, but you need to give me something I can use. Who fired the shots? A cop? I can tell by the way you're brushing me off that something happened. Just
I'm gonna be honest because my student said that he doesn't have time for it.
A police sergeant.
Even though I didn't want to say this.
Wait, Sergeant Montoya.
You didn't get this from me.
I feel bad for saying that, but I want to see what changes. What's her name? Someone look up her name, because it's driving me crazy. I need to know that Robin's name from The Dark Knight Returns. I haven't read the recent Super Sons comics, but I did read a bunch of the more Superman Rebirth comics, and a couple of the Batman Rebirth comics, and I do like the dynamic between Jonathan and Damian.
Either way, I need to find him. Let's put
our
drones in the air and start a search.
Kelly's laughing, guys. Thank you.
In the meantime, we have to find out what we can do about this drug.
The computer's been analyzing the chemicals from Montoya's bloodstream.
Throw that up on the monitor. The residue I scanned on Montoya is similar to the nerve agent I found at the docks. Let's see what we got.
It's ironic.
The old trusty Bat computer. I like that he actually calls it the Bat computer in this.
Who'd have guessed that's how he'd meet his maker? Prone in his sickbed, surrounded by police who were ordered to protect him.
Falcone got off easy by getting killed. He deserved much worse.
Whoever did this was judge, jury, and executioner. No one should act as all three. I hope he told you something before he was killed. What did you learn from him?
Practically family, he said.
Family?
I've only read
Tony,
the original Dark Knight Returns comics. I haven't read any of the 2 and 3. I think there's one of the most recent trilogies just wrapped up.
Your father, Hill, and Falcone would have balanced each other out.
Computers pinpointed reference points on the 2 compounds.
I have a signed copy of the Dark Knight Falls, which is the issue where Batman and Superman fight each other, where they don't yell Martha at each other at the end.
This refined drug is like a weapon. It only took a small injection to strip Montoya of her moral filters and make her act on her base impulses. The men at the docks were doused with the base chemicals. The reaction was messy.
I don't believe the Riddler's in this game, but I think he is in the sequel game.
Both compounds seem stable, but
in Batman: The Enemy Within, which is the sequel to this game.
What could the creators of such a drug possibly have in mind? Fighting your wars is one thing, but drugging others to fight them for you...
With this drug, they can exploit anyone's baser impulses. The things they would otherwise
I'm still waiting for a good representation of Riddler in some more modern movies. But the last we got really was Jim Carrey, which was fun, but you know, I want something more. 2020, not... When did that movie come out? 1990, early 1990s?
Find her now! Send a strong message.
Which movies are you thinking of, Potter? Batman vs Superman was okay. It's not my favorite. Well, the whole Snyder universe is not. Suicide Squad doesn't count. Come on. The other Snyder movies are not really my favorite, but they have their moments. I do like Man of Steel. That's fair. I did like Birds of Prey.
There you go. You'll be alright. Alright.
The Skyline Club. Jesus, didn't even wait for Falcone's body to get cold, did you?
Ewan McGregor was amazing. I loved him in the movie.
Bruce Wayne already tried talking with Cobblepot. It's time he met the Batman.
I'll refrain from any spoilers, but yeah, he was definitely one of my favorite parts of that movie. I really loved Huntress in it. I thought she was hilarious because I wasn't expecting that at all. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think that's the actress's name. Someone would totally hear that.
You lot, come check out this office. Where is... I don't know! Please, names. Hey, you can help me, or...
Let him go.
Batman! It's about time. You kill a crime boss, you'd expect a word of thanks from Gotham's #1 vigilante. Oh, don't worry, I'll pass your gratitude on to those who made it happen.
I said let him go.
You hear that, Roland? That sounded like an order.
I'll crush him.
Now, have a little respect for the Bat. Think he underestimates.
If I recall, my student died a couple times in this scene.
Is this
Hopefully,
about Falcone?
I'm a little better.
We all saw how you felt about Falcone. Impaling a man on live TV. If you were truly the defender of this city, you'd have finished the
Okay,
job
so
yourself.
that piece of dialogue was changed.
Falcone deserved to die.
Not too much, but he does. You could either impale him or you could hang him up. And so what Cobblepot did say there does slightly change.
Personal experience.
I don't kill my enemies.
Maybe that's why you got so many. Might be time to reconsider. As a show of good faith, I'm gonna let this one go. How's about we talk this through? We helped you with Falcone. Now, if we could just cut out the rest of the rot, like Wayne and Hill, ordinary folks might be able to breathe.
What is it about this place that attracts criminal scum like you? You're going to attack the mayor? That's not going to happen.
Attack? Absolutely not.
I never actually played the Injustice games. I'm not the big outside of Super Smash Brothers. I'm not the biggest fighting game person, but
I actually admire you, Batman.
I've heard maybe I'll pick them up one day. I've heard they're great.
Me and my people, we've got big plans for Gotham.
They found Catwoman.
Oh, maybe I should do that too then.
We had a deal.
Just so I can know the story.
So sorry this didn't work out, mate. I'd stay to watch. I would, but I still got a Catwoman problem to deal with. Oh, what's her name again?
Selina.
Yes! Oh, beautiful name.
I never got into Street Fighter either. I've just been playing Smash since the N64. Oh, I died. I guess I'm just as bad as my student. F.
Alfred, track down Selina Kyle.
I'll find her right away.
Just got the trophy, a big fan. For me or for my students? I think I've only died 2 times. Once this time, once last time. My student has died a whole bunch of times. But he's playing PC, I'm not sure. The quick time events are harder in that capacity. What's going on, Space Cow? I like this scene a lot.
Is that Bruce Wayne?
No, it's not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne wears suits, not sweats.
Did you hear? The cops were... Didn't you see the game here, asshole? Are you blind or something?
My student was nice to this guy, so I'm gonna be mean.
I see a monkey with a stick. Is that what you mean?
What did you say? You got some nerve.
So I'm not actually using these streams in my class, I'm just here. So one of my students or a couple of my students might pop in here occasionally just to watch.
You want an autograph? I'll sign whatever.
But it's not a part of the curriculum in any capacity.
What the hell did you say?
Bruce, stop stirring
This
up the
is just
natives
more
and
so I
buy me a
can
drink.
see more. It's more so that I can just talk about how and why I'm teaching with the game, how it goes in class, and for this game in particular, how some of the different dialogue choices change depending on what we choose.
Profile.
Selina, I need to tell you something important.
Better be an apology. You were supposed to take care of our mutual
But I do think one of my
problem.
students is in the watching
you
right
just
now.
pissed him
He's not interacting much in the chat, but he is here.
Well, I've met a couple of his goons myself. Your client isn't one for subtlety. The man who hired you, his name
And you know,
is
sometimes
Oswald
they
Cobblepot.
can't. My students have their own schedule. Some of them are
He
working
goes
now.
by Penguin.
So if they can't be there at the time when we're streaming this, they can easily come here to see what they missed in
You
class.
should have just killed me on that rooftop. I'm dead anyway. When you screw someone over,
There you are,
really
Hermits.
screw
Hermits is my student.
the Penguin.
Penguin can't take on both of us, and I'm not going anywhere. Clearly
Hermits
you know
actually just
something
got
about him.
accepted to a college program where he's going to be going into video game
I'm surprised you
development.
never heard of him. He's a big deal across the pond. He's more
Oh,
dangerous
answer that
than
question carefully. I will fail you for the year if you say anything bad about me.
you don't know what you're getting into.
I've seen his rap sheet. Just a string of petty crimes, nothing major.
Just kidding, you can be
he's good
honest.
at covering his tracks. No one gets to his level without knowing how to keep a low profile. Besides, you really think there's another guy going by Penguin? The question is, why Gotham? Why now? It's not like he's hurting for crime syndicates abroad. Why leave that?
He stole mind-altering chemicals from Falcone.
Drugs aren't really Penguin's MO.
Well, maybe he's branching out.
Hermits, be honest.
Well, I'm not sticking
Tell them
around to find out.
what kind of teacher
Awesome.
I am.
Penguin is about to unleash God knows what on the city. You can't just leave.
A good reason not to be here when he does. You want to stay? That's your choice.
I need you, Selina.
That right?
If Penguin is as deadly as you say, I need all the help I can get.
Bruce, sweetie, the gallant knight thing, it really is adorable. But what would Harvey think? The two of us?
Selena's
working
always great.
together? After all,
Although I'm still
not
kind
really
of
an all
peeved
work
about
and
the
no
whole
play
wedding
kinda girl.
nonsense debacle
Harvey
in the
knows
comics
that.
recently.
I'm sorry, why are we talking about Harvey?
He's your friend, isn't he? Just seeing how much of a conscience you really have.
Ooh, that's cool.
You and I
I get to be number 1 at something.
Well, Bruce, you were right.
Selina Kyle, Penguin says hello.
A lot of the face mapping in general is a little odd in this game. Straight out of the comic book or movie. Turn on the music.
We're here for her. If you care about your own skin, you'll get the hell out.
Gentlemen,
my student
please.
just punched him
Sit.
immediately, so...
Have a drink. Let's work this out like civilized people.
We're done talking.
This guy's hair is ridiculous. See if this was like the TV show Arrow, the first episode when Oliver killed a bunch of people. He killed them because no one could know he knows how to fight.
Not done yet.
I always like these tag team fights. In movies, TV, games, anything in general.
I think they want more.
Then let's give it to them.
That's true, so I have been streaming here for Geeks Like Us, but I am a teacher, but I also created and founded the website Hey Listen Games, where
You're such a pretty boy.
I put up all my curriculum and lesson plans and handouts and slides that I use when I teach with video games, and it's all up there for free because I know that these resources don't really exist. So I want to make them available for any teachers or educators who are interested in using video games in their classrooms. And I blog about my experiences teaching with games and providing rationales for why I choose specific games. So I do a lot of writing on the website if you want to stay up to date on that.
Quick, check the alleyway!
You see anything?
Negative. Let's check the other side.
Probably What Remains of Edith Finch. If Hermits is there and is willing to talk in the chat, I know he might be a little bit shy. I teach with it in my ELA class, and the students love it. Now here, my student did not kiss her because he wanted to be a gentleman, so I'm going to do the opposite.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, but she still says no. Okay.
I'll take the rooftops.
Yeah, What
You
Remains
take
of
the
Edith Finch, the reason I do it is because...
Wait.
The game is told through a series of vignettes as you learn about different members of the Edith Finch family.
When will I see
and
you?
It's great to talk about different
least
literary
expect
elements and rhetorical devices that the developers and writers use in the game.
You shouldn't trust me, you know.
And it's one of the most unique games I've ever played. And it's a walking simulator, so it's mostly just walking around and interacting with the house and the environment. So the controls aren't difficult, so even people who are not familiar with video games or people who don't play video games often can easily hop in and get the hang of it very quickly.
Processing it now. Is everything all right? There are quite a few police cars convening on your location.
But I also like to teach with Gone Home, which is a similar walking simulator type game. That's more just because I think the story and narrative of Gone Home is probably one of the more meaningful and impactful ones of the past decade.
I gave you everything I have on Wayne. I've held up my end of the bargain, and I expect you to do the same.
This is very shady indeed. Whatever they're talking about, it doesn't sound good.
I should have guessed. Hill's working with Penguin. If Hill's talking to Penguin, he must know something. It's time I paid him a visit.
I agree. The mayor must have answers, but if I may offer a word of advice. The whole world was horrified at what Batman did to Falcone. You terrorized the mayor too. You could lose Gotham's goodwill completely. Then again, Batman's methods would certainly get him talking immediately. Bruce would have to depend on his guile to loosen Hill's lips.
So my students chose to visit as Batman. So I'm going to visit as Bruce. And I know one of my students wanted to visit as Bruce, but she was outvoted, so we went as Batman.
Going as Bruce is the smart choice.
Go as Bryce. Actually, I'm going to pause the game, and I want to read... So one of the questions that I asked my students this episode is that episode deals a lot with morality and what it means to be Bruce Wayne Batman. And I asked them, looking back, do you think the player made correct decisions as Bruce Wayne or Batman? If so, why? If not, what would you have done differently? And I want to read the student in particular's response, the one who wanted to go as Bruce. So she said, I feel like Bruce Wayne made good decisions, yet there was a decision I felt that he should have anticipated was being Bruce Wayne and not Batman, because my students had chose to do this scene as Batman, right? It's when he's going to Mayor Hill's office. If he had gone as Bruce, it could have affected his identity less in front of the press, right? He may have also introduced himself in a polite manner to see what information about the plan comes out that way, instead of going as Batman and being intimidating. Father and son hermits. How much older do you think? How old are you? Aren't you 20?
Sorry, the mayor's busy. Do you have an appointment?
For the record, I'm 28, so I don't have kids.
Can't be disturbed right now. Excuse me, Mr. Wayne?
You're really telling me that Bruce Wayne needs an appointment?
But the mayor...
We'll be fine. And if he fires,
but thank you, Hermits. I love hearing that I'm good at building relationships with students. Hermits comes to me a lot, asking for advice.
Finally, you've come
especially with college up and coming, because Hermits might, while wonderful, might be a little bit of a lazy student come time to time.
We can be friends, Hill. I'd like us to put aside our differences.
It's easy to ask for peace when you've already lost the war. But I won't be the one to deny a fresh start. Your father and I, we took this city and made it ours. Falcone too, rest his soul. We built everything we have. You were born with it. A soft boy like you wouldn't understand what it takes to rise to the top.
Oh, I understand.
Soft boy. Well. I definitely need to do a quick time action for that.
I've held up my end of the bargain, and I expect you to do the same. Sounds like me.
So this student Hermits, the one who just gave me the glowing endorsement, was actually on the panel that I hosted at PAX East recently. He was one of the students I took with me to speak on the panel about learning with video games.
You're working with Oswald Cobblepot and his thugs.
Working with them? They're a bigger threat to order than those masked freaks.
And he did a great job.
Crosshairs, same as you.
But you fed them dirt on me.
Only the files I seized from Wayne.
I actually just applied to host a similar panel at New York Comic Con for October. But obviously, we're not positive that that convention will still be on, especially since I'm in New York City. And
took his family's land.
it's been
Oswald's
coronavirus hit
family
here
signed
pretty
it over
hard,
to us,
so we'll
along
see.
with the
But
rest
it'd
of
be
their
cool
assets.
if I could bring 5 more students to another panel to speak about learning with video games.
Even if that's true, it's no excuse for Cobblepot's crimes.
I quite agree. It doesn't hurt to understand your enemy's motives. There's so much more I could share, if only we were friends. I could help you deal with Penguin.
It's a possibility.
But I'm caught in a dogfight for my political career.
Which I would still be down to do if they accept my submission.
Now, if that rival were to say, drop out, or his advertising spend were to dry up, I might have a lot more resources for helping a new friend.
Right now, I don't want to do this. My students had not a chance. So I'm going to say I could do that, but I definitely don't want to.
Fine. That's what it takes to earn your friendship.
I knew you'd see the light. It's time we really talked. Power is an old oak. The trunk stands strong, but it's the roots that hold it up. And the thickest of them lead to Arkham.
Arkham Asylum.
So New York Comic Con actually has a professional day for educators and librarians hosted at the New York Public Library, which is where I would want to host this panel since it is more of an educator focus, in which case it would be a more
I leveraged my political power to ease the transfer of assets.
Like low-key crowd, like probably only 30 to 50 people instead of like potentially several hundred.
So that's what Oz wants to punish me for.
His mother was one of our last patients. You can hardly expect him to think rationally. Gotham was chaos before we took control. At least now there's a semblance of order. Listen, Bruce. Now that we're back on the same side, your father's last gift to me. They're yours. The keys to the city.
Thank you.
This is cool.
Call me Hamilton. Penguin's gathered.
So this did not happen with my students because they went as Batman and were just being super intimidating to him.
But that's a problem for another day. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to prep for the debate. My door is always open, Bruce. Next time, make an appointment.
Whatever deal you made with Penguin, he won't honor it.
Don't worry about me. He's not the first to take a shot at me.
Alfred, get a warning to Gordon. Tell him to increase security at the debate. Hill seems to think he's safe, but Penguin's still out there.
I think we're getting towards the end of this episode, probably another 20-ish minutes.
I wonder what else is on here.
As per your request, Lieutenant Gordon has tripled security at the debate.
Thanks,
Won't help. It never helps in comics.
It's a plan of the old
policemen just get killed constantly.
The auditorium where the debate's being held. I hacked into the image feeds from the security cameras at the auditorium.
Just to be safe.
Just to be safe.
Hills, details about your father. They must have been quite upsetting. I can't imagine how you must feel.
To be honest, Alfred, nothing can shock me anymore. Not when it comes to my parents.
I wish I felt the same way. But I suppose no good can come from wallowing. The city needs you now more than ever.
Where'd that chair come from?
Leave you to it then.
Gotham District Attorney Harvey Dent appears to be hitting some potholes on his path to the
We get some
mayor's
optional
office.
stuff, I think.
Despite the backing of billionaire Bruce Wayne, rumors persist that the candidate is having trouble
here.
paying
So
his
this
campaign
also
staff and making ad buys. Dent spokesperson said these rumors are nothing more than a smear tactic perpetuated by the incumbent Mayor Hill's campaign.
What'd you say there, Hermits?
In other news,
the game you learn the most important things. It probably opened mine too much.
A quiet night out, but police say a brawl tonight at the Stack Deck Bar in Otisburg was the rowdiest one in recent memory. Reports
so Hermits, you almost remember what it said. So you can say that people die by suicide, but you don't say that people commit suicide. Right, because it's not like you're committing a crime. It's something that happens to you. It's not always a choice. I know we have some psychologists in the feed, so they might be able to touch on that a little more than I can. But yeah, so people die by suicide, but they're not actively committing something. They're not killing themselves. You know what I mean?
Perpetuated by the incumbent Mayor Hill's campaign.
In other news, nobody goes to Gotham's dive bars expecting a quiet night out, but police say a brawl tonight at the Stack Deck Bar in Otisburg was the rowdiest one.
Because there is a section in what remains of Edith Fincher's dealing with suicide. We read an article, and I was bringing like nonfiction articles and text to teach it alongside the game. So we read an article about teen suicide, and in the article it specifically states that
he may have visitors.
People are dying by suicide. They're not committing it. Yeah, I can imagine that being a tough lesson in class.
Harvey needs to get out.
It's kind of relatable. It's somewhat relatable because when I teach, not every student's going to graduate, which sucks. Like no matter what we do, it's tough to make sure that every student meets all the requirements that they need for graduation.
Something that's it's not exactly
pleasant. We just kind of we have to accept that
your life is in danger.
I can't get my students to a 100% graduation rate. It's just not really
they have me in
a possibility, especially teaching in New York City with English language learners who need to not only meet all the requirements, they also need to learn an entire new language.
I need to get this off my chest.
And a lot of them are working full-time because the students are also overage. Like Herman, for example, I believe is 20, if I'm getting that right.
My advisors
so he was already almost ready to graduate in his home country, and then he moved here and had to start over.
I need to distance myself from you.
Which can be really tough for a lot of people.
Until all this mess with your family blows over. They're afraid it's not a very good optic. Ouch, Harvey. Talk about a sucker punch.
What with the allegations in the press, and now this mess with Falcone, you're a
liability.
But here's the thing, Bruce.
Without your money,
I am dead in the water. I know this is a delicate topic, but I need you to keep me afloat.
I may have to trash you in public, but you and me, we'll know the truth about our friendship.
Almost 22, got it.
You've got some nerve, Harvey. Either we're a team or we're not. No, of course we're a team, Bruce. Of course we are.
My students decided to keep giving money.
Of the press.
Listen, I hate to push
you, but I need to know. Can I count on your money, Bruce?
Whatever it takes to save Gotham.
The student said, of course. And I want to say, of course, but I'm going to say, forget it.
No, Harvey. You can forget it.
That's disappointing.
You have a good reason? You really have to ask me that. Yeah, I get it.
You don't owe me an explanation. Right. Well, look, I have to go. The makeup person is here. Guess they have to
put on my face.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry we
that's
couldn't make this
unfortunate.
work out, Bruce.
Harvey.
Do you think it's possible for that student to make it up during the summer?
Batman.
Ooh, you see those
Yeah,
textures?
all quiet so
They
far.
didn't come in.
I've got a feeling that's about to change.
Just so we're clear, You and me, we're on shaky ground.
Jim, listen.
No, listen to me. The excessive violence, it can't go on. Most of the GCPD already think you're a monster. Don't prove them right.
I'm sorry for putting you in a difficult spot, Jim. I value our working relationship.
So do I, Batman. That's why I need you to rein it in.
We have bigger things to worry about right now.
What was your internship?
Your security has
and
been
what is going on with my screen?
I've got patrols
what is
on
this
every
white
door.
stuff going all over the place?
You better check on them.
I'd keep that holstered if I were you.
What's she doing here? She was part of that robbery at the mayor's office.
Really? You're gonna drag out that dead horse?
I think she's mending her ways.
Oh, he's right, Lieutenant. I don't do the bad things anymore. Unless it's on request.
Oh, do you want to be a social worker in the future, Potter?
This better not come back to bite me. Alpha Patrol, come in.
That, incident in the bar. Dead is its own kind of cage. I can't stand being in it. Not that I needed your help or anything, but you had my back. I thought I'd repay the favor. You know, like you scratch my back, I cut some people up.
You don't owe me anything. Those scum had it coming.
And they say chivalry is dead.
None of my men on the ground are responding.
Enough waiting. We're going in.
Alpha, do you read?
The school I'm in now is...
Now, aren't you glad I'm here?
I wouldn't call it worse, but it's a Title I school, so it's a low-income area
You
as
have
well.
a better shot than my SWAT team of getting in there quietly. We are seriously underfunded at the GCPD.
Sounds like a vote for Dent, Lieutenant.
That's interesting. So they said that last time as well, but as my dialogue choices have been for anti-Dent, right? I just said that I'm not going to give him money, so that probably could have been a little bit better in terms of storytelling. But that also would have been something easy to change. It's just one line.
We'll soon head to the polls to decide the future of your home, a city that's faced its share of hardships in recent years. Rising crime rates, income inequality, and yes, a massive vigilante loose on our streets. Candidates will tackle it all.
Lots of heads getting smashed into walls in this game.
At least we know why they weren't responding.
Gordon, we found one of your patrols. They've been terminated.
Gotta wonder how many police officers are in this city, because they all
As
die.
you might have guessed, there's been a change to tonight's program. First order of business, firing the moderator!
I hate to be a downer, but these
I
hostages...
still don't think the Penguin should be
I don't like
British,
their
but
chances.
I do like this portrayal of him.
If we're quick and decisive, no one else has to die.
If you say so. But Penguin's playing for keeps.
Fanatics always do.
You'll do. Get out here. Keep it quiet back there.
These guys are armed to the teeth.
We need a new moderator.
Come on, you.
You there! Yes! You! Thank you for volunteering.
Please, no.
Go on, then. Introduce the candidates.
In this game.
Stage fright, huh? All right, I'll get you started, but this is your show.
3 hostiles. Gotta take them out quietly.
I like these scenes where he plans his attack. And you get to choose like what to link him to, so you have different options of how you take him out. I'll link him to Catwoman.
And we'll see. Coin toss. Heads.
Smart.
What options do I have here? So here, the light stand.
Mr. Dent, the subject on everyone's mind is the new Wayne mental
What's
health
the ceiling?
It's a much needed state-of-the-art mental health care hospital that will offer treatment for the most
And for this guy,
of Gotham citizens.
definitely the table.
The opening statements, Pillow. Rule 1, talk when I say talk, shut your gob when I say shut your gob. Easy. Rule 2, scratching, biting and kicking each other up all the time. Rule 3, always tell the truth. It hurts.
Ooh, breaks the table. This is cool. This whole fight looks completely different than when my students did it. Except that part was the same, where you step on a guy's head.
Keep your heads down. Make for the police line.
Yep, get out of here.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
My downfall, brothers and sisters of Gotham. You have nothing to fear. We are the children of Arkham.
Alright, so this is kind of hit or miss. This is an original character pretty much created for the game.
Expose the corruption that's rooted your city. For too long, men like your esteemed mayor have profited from the pain of innocence.
Did you ever meet the guy on the screen?
Nope. Smart to let someone else do your dirty work.
Look into the hearts of these spineless creatures. Chosen to
Go on, love. You know what to do.
Oh, we giving them drugs.
Candidates, take off your masks. Show Gotham your true selves. Tell them what you really think about the city you pretend to love.
Everybody in Gotham saw that moderator get shot on live TV. What's going on in there?
First off, we should incinerate the pool.
Exactly. And there's one decision that my students made that I'm gonna copy their decision, because I don't really want to do the other one. You'll know when I do it.
We're out of time, Batman. The brass is going nuts with those two drunks on stage.
And what about the corrupt elite? They made fortunes of their own causes. Then I got friend, Bruce Wayne. Your gratitude. Having another way when you don't want to see.
I mostly like how they portray Two-Face in this game.
Subject 9.
I thought your father was dead.
Subject 9, Esther Cobblepot. You've been declared criminally insane and committed to Arkham indefinitely as a ward of the state.
So I know they're trying to make Bruce's parents bad in this narrative, but I don't know if I buy that this would actually happen.
Give her the drug.
Thomas, we're friends. Our boys play together.
You were warned, Esther. You know I always get what I want. Commence the procedure. Give her a dose she won't come back from.
Right, people... I know it's a comic book, but like, there's a line where I'm willing to suspend my disbelief or something. Exactly, right? That would never happen.
Batman! You certainly know how to make an entrance.
Go!
Run away!
Why don't you kick the crap out of him?
No,
that didn't work.
Please, I made a man.
You could never.
I took out Thomas Wayne. That was all
Ah.
him. He didn't
Now
know
he's trying
when
to be
stop.
friends with you earlier.
I had him killed because of it.
Get away from back, my poor old mum. So this is for her.
Don't let you kill anyone else!
Wait your turn, Dent.
He did. That was actually good for a minute there.
Where's your mate, Bruce Wayne? Your biggest supporter, and he didn't even turn up. Batman! The revolution's already started! It's too late to join!
It's
Your
over, Penguin.
revolution is over, Penguin.
On the contrary, we're just getting started!
Ooh, lucky shot to the goggles. So I'm gonna be honest. Alright, so my students chose to save Selina in this capacity. And I know I've been saying that I'm going to choose different options. So I kind of want to continue saving Selina because I just like her more as a character. But what do you guys think? Should I save Selina or Harvey? Potter says Selina. What does someone else think? Let's get one more. No, alright, I guess I'm going Selina. That's nice and brutal.
Hold your fire, damn it!
Harvey.
Where's the maniac in the mask?
So you do get Two-Face either way. One of which is this, where you get his actual comic book Two-Face, where half his face is scarred and burned, and the other one is more not as intense. It's more like his eye is all messed up.
City Hall is in chaos after Mayor Hamilton Hill was
But how he
confirmed
reacts
dead.
to you, I believe, will be
Several
different.
members of the Children of Arkham have been arrested. The Penguin is still at
So
large.
if you don't save her, she gets shot and runs away. Right, and it can affect so either way you choose, it affects your relationship with whichever one going forward.
He won't be the same after this.
Meanwhile, the The Wayne family
So Batman's
scandal
relationship will now be
continued to
different with
escalate
Harvey
after the full
going
list
forward.
of Thomas Wayne's
Because I
victims
saved
was
Selina, if we
released to
saved
the
Harvey,
public.
then Bruce's relationship with Selina going forward would have been different. But not vastly different. It's like this scene here would not happen if you chose to save Harvey.
Lawyers representing Bruce Wayne have no comment at this time.
We are the children of Arkham, and we have opened your eyes.
And that's the end of episode 2. Let's see how our choices stacked against others. Yes, most people chose to ease his pain, not to make him suffer. Most people tried to kiss Selina, obviously, even though my student did not. And then, so most people actually visit as Bruce. My student decided to go as Batman. And then most people continue giving him money. So my students did continue to offer him money. I chose not to this time around. And yeah, most people saved Selina instead of Harvey. Which both my students and we did here. So what do you guys think? What do you think of the game so far? I like it. It's not my favorite game in the world, but I think it's decent enough at telling the story. It's also the first Telltale game I've ever actually played. I haven't played any of the Walking Dead games. I do want to play The Wolf Among Us. Yeah, I kind of agree, Potter. It gets a little over the top at times. It gets a little almost too comic booky. I've heard that the sequel game is actually better overall than this first one. I want to play the Walking Dead ones, but it's such a commitment at this point to play through all. It's 5 seasons, right? It's just so much. Let's watch the preview for next time on.
Next time on Batman, the Telltale Series.
You may have saved me, but this isn't over. You don't know these people, Bruce.
Authorities are scrambling. The so-called Children of Arkham have the city in a frenzy, but there's still no sign of their masked leader. With Hill and Falcone
you would
dead
assume
by
they would
their
just
hands,
shut down Arkham Asylum at this point, especially
lips
you crazy people called the Children of Arkham running around.
After that news about your
havoc.
father sending innocent people to Arkham, sounds like the whole city wants your head on a pike.
The Waynes have always run this company, but now they want to decide what your future at this company will be.
I haven't actually played
Do you really think Bruce Wayne is worth protecting?
Game, so I'm not sure what exactly the puzzles are like, but after this I'll probably go play it myself.
What do you want?
Or at least watch someone else play it.
You know what I